It's something that I'm kind of like into. Like,
I wonder if she was into it during this whole pandemic. Nothing says taking the crisis seriously quite like swapping spit with some random. What's going on, everyone? It's your favorite jealous hater, and welcome to the most positive and uplifting channel on the platform. So recently Jess pushed out this Q&A called Nothing Is Off Limits, where, you guessed it, she talks about very private and personal matters, answering some questions that, to be honest, didn't need answering or even asked. Some things should remain private and not be said, but for some odd reason, people like Jess who vlog their life decide that there are no boundaries between their actual personal life and what gets plastered online, which is in their full control. But this just ends up biting them in the ass later on, because when one of their actions gets questioned, suddenly now they all care about privacy, even after showing every inch of their homes, lives, and personal information. They have the audacity to claim that they don't have to share everything, even though that ship sailed a long time ago. Anyways, Jess decides to dive deep into her sex life. Again, I'm not really sure why other people are so invested with what Jess does in the bedroom. Funny when I get called obsessed or a stan just for calling these lames out, but people are actively out here low-key trying to sub to Jess's OnlyFans. Okay, let's spread some positivity and shit. You're goddamn right.
hey guys, let's hang out. Let's do an everything's off limits Q&A.
I'm only 20 seconds in and I've already screwed this up. I meant nothing is off limits.
I'll give her some credit, at least she caught herself.
I personally love watching other people's Q&As. I feel like that's how you get to know somebody the most, and I don't know, I just think they're so interesting.
She's milked her grandmother's death in the process of for money and views, and probably is getting ready for those mommy-daughter period holes. What more do you need to know?
Why don't you have a seat and let's chat?
Why don't you have a seat and let's chat?
I've always found it really weird when vloggers pretend that they are having a one-on-one conversation with their audience that can consist of 1 million+ subs.
Before I get started, today's video is sponsored by Adam and Eve, which I am very excited for.
Oh, I see now. The only reason why she's even doing this spicy Q&A is because it's a sponsored video. Nothing says,
Come get to know me, guys.
quite like getting paid for it.
Adam and Eve is America's favorite adult store, offering 100% discreet packaging. I love that it doesn't come in a box that's just like, bam, this is what I am, and now all your neighbors know.
What does she care about discreet packaging? She's about to blast her sex life online to the world. Even talks about her pubic hair. I think the neighbors finding out is the least of her problems. By the way, this video is sponsored by, you guessed it, don't forget to use code ACOC at the checkout when you're buying your nipple clamps.
Let's see what you guys have. Okay, I am just going to address the elephant in the room. I have had so many questions about this. Have you ever had a threesome? And ever since that question, I have just been bombarded with like questions and people wanting to know.
I think the bigger question here is, why does anyone actually give a damn? It's like those little weirdos who are asking KK and Baby J for their nudes. Like, why? Pretty sure it's all nothing but disappointments anyways.
Obviously, I'm not gonna go into like crazy detail.
Jess is someone who will go on and on and on about how
She's not ashamed about her sexuality.
and that she's very open about everything. Yet, throughout this whole video, she has a big issue actually answering any questions. Either she can't stop giggling like a 16-year-old girl on the phone, or she just avoids the question in general.
Was it with Chris? And the answer is yes. Who was it with? And obviously that's like a weird question to answer.
Nah, not really. You're so open and forthcoming, right? Should be easy.
But I will say it was not just like once. It wasn't just
And so the giggling begins.
it's something that I'm kind of like into. Like
Man, for someone who's so confident about her sexuality, she can't seem to even talk about it without getting flustered. It's like she's never even had sex before. What do you mean you're kind of into it? Either you are or you aren't. There's really no in between here, Jess. This kind of reminds me of when Randy from My Name is Earl, whenever he thought about doing things to Catalina, he'd look away and giggle like Jess. So, yeah.
another question that a lot of people ask, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I am like not afraid to talk about sex. I love talking about sex. I personally am very open about my sex life. Like, I don't see any shame in it.
Says the chick who just said she's not going to go into great detail. Not to mention doing the WAP dance on TikTok, which ended up being deleted because of what other people were saying. If you're so open and not afraid or unashamed, then why in the hell did you remove the video? Pretty sus. And who's actively out here trying to shame a basic straight white girl from California for her sexuality? I can't imagine she'd be getting much grief for that. In fact, it kind of seems like she's being praised for her sexuality. What on earth is she talking about?
That being said, I'm not gonna get too crazy. Like, this is still YouTube.
Yeah, wouldn't want to compromise that monetization, so I guess there are limits.
But a lot of people are also asking, was it a guy or was it a girl? So to answer that question, girl.
So to make one thing perfectly clear, because some little fetus will twist the intention of this video or just my words in general, but I really don't give a damn what Jess decides to do in or out of the bedroom. I'm not one of her cronies. I don't care, as long as it's not potentially harmful to anyone else, which this situation definitely is, and I press issue with that. But I'm not shaming her in any way. I'm just pointing out the true context to her words, which are just really weird.
Are you bisexual? I'm not bisexual. Although I do find women attractive, I am not like sexually attracted to them. Like, and I wish that I was. Like, I truly wish that I was.
How can one claim that they are unashamed of their sexuality, but in the very next breath truly wish that they had another one? Makes sense, huh?
Like, I truly wish that I was, because I think it'd make things a lot more fun for the kind of personality that I have.
What personality is that? Straight? Not really sure what she meant by this. And did y'all catch that little slip?
Because I think it'd make things a lot more fun for
She almost said it would make things a lot more fun for the threesome. But I thought it was something that you were into, Jess. Unless you mean fun for the whole family, which would be but I'm just gonna assume here that's not the case. Seems pretty suspect that you're not bisexual and truly wish that you were, so things could be a lot more fun for the threesome. If you're not fully into it as you claim, your wording would be a whole lot different.
That being said, that doesn't mean that I don't have fun in those situations, but for me, it has, like, it's just a fun thing. It's not actually, I don't know. I can't, it's like so hard to describe. Maybe I'm just gonna stop it there.
I don't get how it's hard for her to describe this because she's apparently so open about it. And she's done this multiple times. To be honest, it's pretty simple to talk about. And what does she mean by this?
Like, it's just a fun thing. It's not actually, I don't know.
It's just a fun thing? It's not actually what, Jess? I don't get it. Not a threesome? Kinda sounds like she's getting cooked.
Are you guys religious at all?
Well, from all the sinning going on here, I'm guessing not.
Will you ever tell us about your threesome? There are so many questions about the threesome. I know you guys are very intrigued by that. I just don't really know, like, what questions do you want to know about it?
Her little cronies have asked multiple questions, literally, and just can't do anything but giggle at it.
I think people want like a story time. It wasn't just one time, so it's not just like a story time.
They want an origin story.
Would you have a threesome again? Yes, I would.
One thing that I also found pretty sus, when she gets questions like this, asking her if she would do it again, all those flusters and giggles just disappear. It's like she's not okay with it. One would think for somebody so open about her sexuality and not afraid to talk about her sex life, she'd be able to elaborate and come up with more than just a 3-word answer and a frown.
It took a lot of communication to try to figure out like boundaries with that kind of stuff.
What boundaries? Apparently this was her idea. There's no boundaries for her. She said she's not bisexual or sexually attracted to women, so I'm going to assume she won't run off into the sunset with her. But you know who could? Chris.
I definitely like would do it again for sure, yeah.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that, Jess. Why is she acting like she only did this one time? Apparently, this is a reoccurring situation. Apparently, she's done it more than once. So why wouldn't she do it again?
When is the last time you got white girl wasted?
My God, this reminds me of Bianca from the Prince family.
Do you honestly regret Chris's vasectomy? Truly the best decision that he has ever made for our family.
I'm pretty curious if he made that decision or if she did to prevent mishaps from happening.
Plus, I'm just gonna be totally real with you guys. If there's ever anybody else involved, like I don't have to worry about him getting them pregnant. I mean, I'm just gonna be real with you.
Oh my god, Jess is so real and genuine.
Could totally kill that worry off by taking actual precautions. I'm not saying don't do your little threesomes, but later on in the video she talks about how she doesn't use condoms. And what do you mean if there's somebody else involved? Apparently, there's already been somebody else involved multiple times. Her saying these type of words makes me think she's talking about if Chris ever decided to cheat on her.
What is the worst thing that you did as a kid that Mimi never found out about? I think she found out about everything. I'm really bad at hiding things, and I'm a really, really bad liar.
Clearly.
Is there anything that is off limits?
Yeah, no compromising the AdSense.
I'm assuming that you mean like in our relationship.
Don't know why she's assuming. This whole Q&A stems from the threesome.
And when it comes to Chris and I, like, no. We have the most open communication, like
But apparently there are limits. Didn't she say it took a long time to talk about boundaries?
I know everybody thinks Chris is awesome and they see him as this like knight in shining armor. He's awesome. Like, he's really awesome. He's like really shy and quiet, but he's really awesome. We have great communication.
She sounds like Trump.
Chris is the best husband I've ever had. Really effective. Other husbands, total disasters.
Honestly, she just sounds like she's trying to convince herself of this.
He's probably never gonna watch this video, so don't tell him that I'm saying all these good things about him.
Yeah, wouldn't want to give the guy who apparently saved you any affirmations.
Am I right, ladies?
And we definitely have our differences, don't get me wrong. Like, we've gotten in our fair share of plenty of fights.
Oh god. Can you imagine the nagging Chris gets on the daily from someone like Jess? Dude's the true MVP.
When it comes to anything that's off limits, like, we're just really open with each other, and I feel like there's not very much that's off limits.
So what boundaries was she talking about then?
As long as he talks to me about something, or if I talk to him about something, we're pretty open.
Sounds like butt stuff. I mean, come on.
Would you ever get back with Richard? Sorry. No.
So I got a question for Jess. Do your fans not acknowledge Chris whatsoever? They do know he's married to you, right? Apparently your community thinks Chris is
Just so super awesome and stuff.
but not enough to think you and him would stay together? That question completely disregards Chris as a husband, a father, and their relationship as a whole. Not to mention, Jess didn't even acknowledge Chris with her response, which is odd for someone who gives him so much praise. That question should have been shut down real quick with a hell no, I'm happily married to the man of my dreams and why would I leave him for old trash? But instead, she just painfully made it clear that she is not over her ex-husband. Just go look at her TikTok. For someone who's happy and moved on with her life, she likes to still give her ex the time of day, which just makes me think she's settled for Chris.
How do you not get jealous during a threesome? You guys have a lot of threesome questions. Maybe I should do a video on it. I just don't know what to say.
Not afraid, no shame, completely open about her sexuality, but doesn't know how to talk about it. Excuse me.
The way it came up in our relationship is I was the one that like push for it because I thought it would be fun.
So like I always say, words and context matter most in everything. She said it was her idea and she pushed for it. But why would you need to push for it if your lines of communication with your husband are so top notch? Not to mention, it would make a lot more sense if she suggested it rather than pushed for it. And why would she even push for something when she's not even bisexual or even sexually attracted to women? To be frank, none of this makes any sense at all. This is the same chick who walked in on her ex-husband sleeping with another woman. Why would she push and want to bring in another woman after getting cheated on? That kind of leaves paranoid thoughts that it could happen again, and her doing so is inviting all that back in. But hey, maybe that's why it was her idea, so that she could control the situation by bringing in another woman so that there's no lust to cheat, even though Chris probably wouldn't cheat on her.
And I guess if I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys, like, I definitely have to be drunk doing it.
Oh, so the last time she was
White girl wasted.
sorry. Oh, so the last time she was
White girl wasted.
was when she was forced to drink for a threesome. Got it. The fact that she has to get drunk in order to go through with it just speaks volumes.
So I guess if I was totally sober, I don't know, maybe there would be different.
Is she even listening to what she's saying? This doesn't sound like she's comfortable with the situation. She literally just said if she was completely sober, she might not be okay with it, which is because apparently this was all her idea. She pushed for it, yet she doesn't even find females sexually attractive, nor is she bisexual, although she wishes she was. So things would be more fun for her, not to mention having to be drunk, and not just a glass of wine either to loosen up. She said she has to be definitely drunk, which means she has to alter her perception in order to go through with it. What the hell, Jess?
But we just have I don't know, like I said, we're super open with communication, and if it ever came to a point where I was feeling like bad feelings about it, it would stop.
You have to get drunk in order to do this. I think the bad feeling ship has sailed. And good communication? Does Chris know that you're getting drunk to go through with this? Getting drunk for all the wrong reasons and not just to have fun? I'm guessing not.
Are you into BDSM? No, not really.
The limits are piling up.
Do you read the gossip sites and forums about you? I can confidently say 100% no.
Yeah, she went on a little rant again about how she doesn't give the haters the time of day, but I've actually disproved this quite a few times with all these vloggers. I posted up a while back on my community tab asking her if she pays her children after using them for money, and not even 24 hours later, the next morning, she posted up on her Instagram stories about the very thing I was talking about. I have a video on this, I'll leave a link below if you're interested, but she goes on and on and on about how she pays no mind, but it just sounds like she's trying to convince herself yet again, just like she's been doing throughout this entire video, with how awesome Chris is and being into threesomes.
If there's ever anything negative, I don't like to give it any of my energy. I would much rather focus on
controlling a situation so my partner doesn't leave me for another girl, so I bring another one into the bedroom where I have to get drunk to be okay with it. Isn't just such a great example for all these young girls?
Is the myth true? Do the curtains match the drapes?
Yeah, I really don't feel like finding out what color her pubes are. Really don't care. So we're just gonna skip over this crap. But like I said before, I find it real funny. It just tickles me when these people complain about privacy yet talk about their genitals.
Does Chris work? Does he have an income?
No, just make sure Chris left his job so he could stay home and watch the kids and she can keep tabs on them.
There's some topics that are just so taboo, and I just wish that they weren't so taboo, like sex, money, that kind of stuff. I truly just I don't see anything wrong with sharing it.
The problem here is that most of these vloggers never share any of that stuff until they start falling off or something and they need new content to clickbait. It's only taboo because they make it taboo. Jess will tell you,
oh, we should talk about sex and money more.
Yet won't actually tell you anything, and base the whole reason she started vlogging off of memories. She won't mention the massive amount of money she's raking in from her kid custody clickbait. She can't even really talk about sex without giggling. If you want things not to be so taboo, then actually and start talking about it instead of giving super vague details that don't matter at all. Although, I think talking about sex and promoting adult toys to children should remain taboo.
How do you stay so positive? Have you ever struggled with mental health issues? I really have not struggled with mental health, but I truly am just really naive when it comes to mental health issues. I don't know much about it because I personally have never experienced it.
I find it quite hard to believe that Jess has no mental health issues, or at least did, especially for someone who claims that the timeline with her ex-husband and him cheating on her while being pregnant was the lowest point in her life, and for the fact that she's still clearly not over him, and the experience obviously still haunts her, otherwise he wouldn't even be a thought. Plus, she's actively trying to prevent Chris from cheating by bringing another female into the bedroom. There's definitely some trauma here. She just does not want to admit it because she wants to seem perfect to all these little cronies, even though she promotes herself as messy Jess. I don't know, she just doesn't really seem into this whole threesome thing. It's like she's trying to be the cool mom or cool parent or something by pretending that she's into taboo things. Because just like all these other vlog moms, she's boring as hell and wants to be more than just a mom, even though a mom is what gave her everything. The only reason she's doing this video and sponsored by an adult toy company is because of her family-friendly vlog channel. She claims she has fun, but then says it's not fully fun because she's not bisexual, and even truly wishes she could change her sexuality that she's apparently not ashamed of, so that it could be more fun for her and her personality, whatever the hell that means. Not to mention having to get drunk in order to do do the threesome. It also strikes me odd that this was her idea and she's pushing for it. She's the one that brought another person, a female, into the bedroom that she said she's not sexually attracted to, but doesn't go for a male who she would be sexually attracted to? Right. If all this actually got her a little froggy and frisky, that would be one thing. I couldn't even hate it's fine. But she clearly is not okay with it, and it's painfully obvious. I mean, by the context of her own words, people, she's either sitting in a corner, getting drunk, sobbing, feeling bad for herself while she's getting cucked by another girl, or she's actually involved doing things that she would never do if she was sober, which I press a huge issue with because she's sending young girls a very toxic and harmful message that if you're not fully okay with something, all you gotta do is get drunk, girl, and alter your perception to get through it, which just goes right into the whole consent thing. There's a big problem with people getting taken advantage of because they're drunk. I know that Jess is the one that pushed for this, so she's co-signing, and honestly, I don't think Chris is at fault here because I don't believe he actually knows how Jess truly feels. But this is clearly based off of past trauma from her ex-husband cheating, which she's never gotten over. But the fact that she has to get drunk does basically mean that she's not fully consenting, she's just riding the wave.